When I think of video games, the thing that really comes to mind first and foremost are the main quest lines. Things like The Elder Scrolls Skyrim, things like Final Fantasy VI, games that had these massive epic storylines that were just memorable and fantastic and had me laser focused on everything that was going on. But there's another side to that. What's going on, everybody? I'm Jay. Welcome to Square Pegs. Because while there are so many incredible games that have wonderful, fantastic, and memorable main quest storylines, but there's some awesome distractions from the main quest out there too. That's right, today we're talking about minigames, and this is not an exhaustive list. This is not the list of the greatest minigames in gaming. This is just a list of some of the minigames that I love. And we're going to start things off with one that I think was my first introduction really to minigames in a video game, and that would be with Super Mario Bros. 3. I think the first minigames I really remember playing were in the Super Mario Bros. Franchise. So with Super Mario 2, you had the end level slot machine. So if you collected coins when you went into the potion realm, you were able to use those coins to try to get one-ups at the end of every level. It wasn't necessarily something that was really fun, but it sticks out in my head as memorable because I had never really seen anything like that in a game before. Super Mario Bros. 3, though, I think perfected it. So not only do you get the end level card matching, where you have to collect the mushroom, flower, or star to give you a certain number of one-ups, and depending on how many you collect in a row is how many you're going to get. So, like, if you get 3 mushrooms, you get 1 up. If you get 3 fire flowers, you get 3 up. And if you get 3 stars, you get 5 up. But if you mix any, you just get a single 1 up. So I don't even know why they have the mushroom in there. But regardless, I'm not a designer, and I'm not Miyamoto. He had a method to his madness. But Mario 3 also gave you the slot machine game, and not like the Super Mario 2 slot machine, but the one where you actually have like the different scrolling icons, and you have to match those up. And then you had the Toad House, which was like a cup and shell game, where you had 3 different boxes that you were able to choose from, and you got a power-up out of it. My favorite, though, was the memory game. So you would find these, it looked like a spade icon that would appear on screen on the world map, and when you go in, you'd have a series of cards that you were able to flip over, and I really enjoyed that. So whatever you flipped over, whatever you found, you got to have that item in your inventory, and I thought that was great. I loved that kind of just like brief interrupt into what you were experiencing with Super Mario Bros. 3, because, I mean, the main event was a spectacular game, but those brief little interrupts, those brief little side note sessions were really awesome. I think my favorite minigame of all time is Triple Triad from Final Fantasy VIII. I know a lot of people don't really care for Final Fantasy VIII, but I don't know anyone that didn't enjoy Triple Triad when they played it. And it's a really simple to understand game. You have different cards that you have in a deck. You have different powers, or not really powers, but different values in the upper corner, and that shows you where those values are going to target. So you have north, south, east, and west, and that's going to be where you place the cards, and that value will attack the card underneath or next to. It's a very simple concept. It's a very simple concept that's been duplicated numerous times, including in Skylanders with Skystones, which was great and was also super fun. But the thing I love about Triple Triad was just the overall massive scale of it, because while it was a minigame, it was something that you could just kind of pop in and out of if you wanted to, and you never even had to play it if you didn't want to. You could challenge nearly anybody in the game to a game of Triple Triad if you really wanted to, and it became not only a really fun RPG, because I actually really enjoy Final Fantasy VIII, but Triple Triad became this amazing side quest that you were able to go on to try to beat everybody in the game. And like I said, you didn't have to do it, but if you did, it was really fun. I think this might be one of the most memorable minigames because it was such a clever implementation of how to present a minigame to play for a game player. So this is Project Gotham Racing 2 on the original Xbox, a fantastic racing game, one that I absolutely adore. And one of the really cool things about it is that there's an arcade cabinet in your garage. So if you go in to edit your cars or make any kind of maintenance decisions for your cars, you're able to just walk around your garage, and there is a Geometry Wars cabinet. Now, Geometry Wars HD is one of my all-time favorite Xbox Live Arcade games on the Xbox 360, And for a long time, I didn't know that it started as a mini game on Project Gotham Racing 2. It was something that was just tossed in. It's a very clever twin-stick shooter. It's very fun to play. It's incredibly challenging. And it's something that, when you look at the overall breadth of what we got in PGR2, you got this amazing little side quest of a game that was a great distraction in between races. It's one of those most memorable things for me because it was just completely unexpected, right? Like, a lot of mini games are kind of targeted and just kind of like dropped on your lap, but this one was one you actually had to go find. You had to go through several menu selections to get there, and when you did, it was worth it. You know, for as long as I can remember, Star Wars has been one of my favorite things, and I loved the idea of what Sabacc was. Because it had been talked about in the books, and it had been talked about in the movies, and I never really knew what it was or how it was played, until I started seeing different Sabacc decks from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge down in Orlando. And then Star Wars Outlaws came out, and there was an entire Sabacc minigame, and I think there was also Sabacc minigames in previous Star Wars games, but I'm not remembering them off the top of my head. But the one in Outlaws, I absolutely adore. I think it is so much fun. The concept is super simple. You want to get as low as possible in your overall value between your cards. And if you match the two values, that's a Sabacc. You can also get different levels of Sabacc. There are certain cards that will automatically give you a win and things like that. But the concept of the game is really fun because it's essentially poker, just space poker, I guess is the best way to look at it. Or maybe it's space blackjack. I don't know. But as you play, you're going to be placing bets. You have different abilities that you can call into favor, which are kind of like these little side bonus things, which will incur taxes on the other characters, so they have to toss in more money. It will allow you to draw a card for free, things like that. It's a really fun representation of the game, and I think it's a very clever addition to a game that is overall really excellent. I love Star Wars Outlaws, and being able to kind of go to the seedy underbelly of the world a little bit and play things like Sabacc in an underground Sabacc den is pretty awesome.
Nothing left.
You heard the droid.
These are the real-life adventures of Captain Quark, the greatest superhero the galaxy has ever known.
One of my favorite antagonists in video games is Captain Quark from Ratchet and Clank. And in Ratchet and Clank 3 Up Your Arsenal, we had the ability to bring Captain Quark back into the fold, from being a villain to being heroic. We won't say he's a hero, but more heroic than he was. And the way you do that is by triggering his memory to come back. And you have to do that by collecting the different holocomics, which give you a side-scrolling minigame where you get to play as Captain Quark to go through this level and find different aspects. And when you complete the level, there'll be a cutscene and Quark will start to regain his memory. This was really fun because it wasn't something that was just spelled out and just kind of laid out for you. You actually had to complete parts of the game to progress through, and you got these fun little breaks with the Captain Quark minigames that allowed you a different style of gameplay that I thought was really ambitious and really clever. Because they weren't simplistic. They were actually fairly challenging levels and really well designed that showed they weren't just resting on their laurels of just being great 3D platformer developers. They had some really solid 2D platformer chops as well. It's a really solid minigame, really fun game overall. Like, Up Your Arsenal is wonderful. So play this one if you haven't done so. It's really cool to kind of step into Quark's shoes and see exactly why he thinks so highly of himself as you go through the game.
You strike me as a man of the world. Are you familiar with Gwent?
No, and I don't.
I think the strongest designed minigame of anything on this list is probably Gwent from The Witcher 3, because this easily could have been its own standalone game. And I think they actually did end up releasing Gwent as a downloadable title. I'm not 100% sure on that because I didn't need it because I have The Witcher 3. But Gwent is an incredibly simple to understand card game. You have 3 different levels, and the levels that match up will be competing against each other. So you have the infantry rows, which are right in the middle of the screen, where you're going to be putting your foot soldiers and things like that. You have the ranged combat rows, where you'll have archers, and then you have the siege rows, which is where things like catapults and things like that go. And as you play, you're also going to be able to use different weather effects to kind of knock down certain rows' values. So like if your opponent is playing a lot of ranged characters, you'll be able to play a card that will wipe out their attack attributes and things like that. And the basic idea is after your different rounds, you want to make sure that you have the most value on the board. And if you do, you win that round. But you need to make sure that you're maintaining your card count, because you can't just blow through everything in the first round, because then you'll have nothing for the next two. So not only is it a game of really fun, like, deck combat, it's also deck management, where you need to make sure you're holding back and not just blowing through all your cards right away. I really think it's wonderfully designed and just a fantastic distraction from the overall kind of morose world that The Witcher inhabits.
An interesting round. If you desire a rematch, let me know.
Pokemon Stadium was lousy with minigames. There were so many to choose from, but the best one was Sushi Go Round. Sushi Go Round starring Lickitung. This feels like it stepped right out of Mario Party. Now, the Mario Party games, on a side note, could just be this entire video because it's nothing but minigames, but I am not a huge Mario Party fan, so we're not going to use it right now. We're going to talk about Pokemon Stadium and Sushi Go Round. 4 different Lickitungs combat to collect the most delicious sushi, to get the most sushi in their mouths, to eat it all. It's very simple. You move around, you grab sushi, you're good to go. If you eat too much wasabi, it's bad. It's just like real life. It's just like real life with sushi. There's some other really good ones on here as well. I actually kind of like the Magikarp game. I think that's pretty fun. Run Rattata Run is pretty good. It's a collection of very simple, very silly mini games. They're very clearly targeted towards kids. But Lickitung Sushi, I challenge you, if you don't think any of them are fun, I guarantee you'll like that one. Sea of Stars was one of the best RPGs made of the last decade, something that kind of came out of nowhere and was set in the same universe as The Messenger, which was a 2D platformer much like Ninja Gaiden, which was a curious kind of thing to tie together, but when you know the overall story, it goes really well. Included in Sea of Stars was a game called Wheels, and Wheels is kind of their version of, not really Triple Triad, but it's their version of a card game or a parlor game where you're able to play. And the neat thing about it is that you're able to choose different characters that have different attributes, you put them on the game board, and then you have a series of wheels that spin, and as they spin, you're going to have different icons appear, and those icons will perform different actions, like the hammers will build a wall to help defend you. The squares will allow you to attack with a certain character. It's a really smartly designed game that puts a lot of chance into things and makes it a very unique strategy experience as opposed to just kind of flopping cards down on the map. It's a wonderfully excellent execution and something that, to me, truly showed that the team behind Sea of Stars were paying attention to the little details and made something incredibly special. This one is stretching the definition of a mini game a little bit because it's not a mini game whatsoever, and it's not really something that you can just kind of hop in normal gameplay and distract yourself a little bit. This is Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings, and we're talking about the brilliant point-and-click adventure Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, which is completely unlockable on the Wii version of this game. It's very easy to get, too. You have to beat a level, or there's a cheat code you can input on the main menu, and it will be dropped into the extras menu on the main menu, where you're able to choose Fate of Atlantis and play through it that way. Like I said, it's not really a mini-game, it's kind of just a bonus game included in this game, but I still love it. It's one of my favorite point-and-click adventures on a surprisingly competent Wii version of an Indiana Jones game. So, like I said, stretching the definition a little bit, but I'm sticking with it. It's my video.
Looks dangerous.
Similar to Pokemon Stadium, the Super Monkey Ball games are ripe with minigames. There's tons of them to choose from. My personal favorite is in Super Monkey Ball 2 on the Nintendo GameCube, and it is Monkey Target. Monkey Target is something that I am awful at. I used to be good at it, but I've forgotten how to do it. It's a game where you're launching your monkey down a ramp, and you have to basically turn his ball into a hang glider, and you have to land on a target. And physics come in play, because you're in a ball, you'll roll. And it's something that is challenging and fun, and really wonderful to experience, and such an incredible multiplayer game. Like, it's fun single player, but it becomes ultra competitive multiplayer. It's something where if you really want to see your friends get angry at how a game is playing, Monkey Target is the way to go. There's other great ones as well. Monkey Bowling is wonderful. I really enjoy Monkey Boxing, but Monkey Target, that's the #1 right there. That's the best one that they've ever done, and something that still is fun to this day. Like, and you just hop into it. It's not hard. Well, I mean, it's incredibly hard, but it's not hard to figure out what you need to do. It's just very hard to master, and I think that's pretty cool. I loved Tekken Tag Tournament when it released on the PlayStation 2. I thought it was a fantastic game, something that was incredibly fun, a real kind of coming out party for Tekken. Like, I thought Tekken was okay, but when it became Tekken Tag Tournament on the PS2 and it stepped into that next generation, I think it was when it really kind of found its footing. And one of the coolest things about Tekken Tag Tournament is that if you defeat arcade mode 10 times, you unlock Tekken Bowl. And Tekken Bowl is ridiculous. It's a really, really fun bowling game, and it's a really solidly made bowling game where you're able to use any of the characters that you have unlocked through your playthroughs of Tekken Tag Tournament in a bowling competition. You get to pick 2. Each one plays a little bit differently too, which I think is really interesting. So if you want something that's a little more controlled, you need to use a more light character or an older character. If you want someone that's just going to just launch the ball down the alley and just destroy everything, you probably want to use Kuma. It's really fun, though. It's something that has good bowling physics. Like, it's just a good bowling game in a great fighting game. I think that's pretty awesome. I love mini games that you have to work to unlock, and in Pac-Man World 2, this is the repack version on the Nintendo Switch 2, you have to work to unlock the different arcade games that you can add to Pac Village. Now, these aren't really mini games. This is kind of stretching the definition of what a mini game is, but it's still kind of like, when I look at a mini game, the way I kind of define it is it's a distraction from the main quest. It's something that you can do to just kind of interrupt your play and just to kind of give you a mental break from what you're going through. And while you don't necessarily need that in Pac-Man World 2, it's not like it's a heavy game, it is nice to just kind of step out of what's going on in a 3D platformer and drop into a maze pellet muncher. It's a really fun implementation. It's something that works very well. They decided to make you achieve different requirements for each level, and if you did that, you were able to unlock an arcade game. Like right now, you can see I have Pac-Man unlocked. It plays flawlessly well on the Nintendo Switch 2. It's so cool to be able to play a classic game like Pac-Man in a modern release like Pac-Man World 2 Repack and just have it work brilliantly well. Fantastic implementation. Animal Crossing did something similar to this with the different NES games in their original release, and they brought that back recently in Animal Crossing New Horizons, where you're able to buy different platforms from the hotel if you build up your hotel level enough and be able to play games from the Nintendo Switch Online service in Animal Crossing. I think that's clever. It's something that you have to work towards, and I like that kind of distraction.
I've heard all Danes are cursed with slow brains and fat tongues. Care to prove me wrong?
There's no shortage of mini games and distractions in like every Assassin's Creed game. There's so many different things to take your eyes off of the prize. But for me, I really enjoyed Orlog and Flighting in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and for very different reasons. So Flighting is the one I want to talk about first. Flighting is a mini game where you're it's diss tracks. You're just kind of rapping with a guy. It's that's all it is. It's a Viking rap battle, and you're basically just talking shit to the other guy. It's fantastic. You have to pick the right choice. It's not that difficult, but it is fun. It's a nice little distraction. Orlog, though, Orlog is something very different. Orlog is a dice rolling game where you are basically, it feels like the dice rolling game in Suikoden 2, which I can't remember the name off the top of my head. You're basically rolling and collecting different icons, and the different icons will be used to attack your opponent's life bar. And as you go, you'll be taking stones off that represent the life. It's a very clever game, very well designed. And honestly, it's something you can kind of lose yourself in for a while if you really want to, because it's very well designed. It's something that just isn't tossed in. It was well thought out and well implemented. So in my notes for this video, I have the particular mini-games written down for each game that I've talked about so far. But for this one, I have just written down literally everything. This is Yakuza 0 Director's Cut on the Nintendo Switch, and the Yakuza games are just packed with mini-games. You can basically just play the mini-games after a certain period of time and be happy. You won't ever have to worry about anything going on in the game. If you just want to play Space Harrier, you'll be fine. But it's not just that. Like, there are arcades you can go to play classic Sega arcade games, which is amazing and wonderful and super fun. There's UFO catchers where you're able to put money in and try to retrieve plushies to add to your collection, which is really fun. There's batting cages, which are really fun. There's bowling. There's karaoke. There's literally so much to do in Yakuza that you will never be wasting time. There is always something that you could be doing rather than just wandering the streets and getting into fights, which is also fun, and also has its own little mini game with the different stances and things like that you're able to use, because it's such a brilliantly designed game and such an incredibly well-made series of video games that just make the game perfect and excellent and just smartly designed from top to bottom. The ability to just distract yourself with all of these different games, while it might seem counterintuitive to the overall plotline, it works because the game is about living life in Tokyo. It's incredible. Absolutely brilliant game, absolutely brilliant series, and just a phenomenal collection of mini-games.
Time for some torque. Out front!
There you have it, some of my favorite mini-games in video games. Let me know in the comments down below what are some of your favorites. I'd love to hear from you. I wanted to include Shenmue on here, but I don't actually have a save file anymore where I could actually show you the forklift races, and I didn't have the time to play that far to actually unlock them again. So just understand they're amazing, and you should find them. Maybe on the sequel video to this, we'll have them featured then. But do let me know your favorites in the comments down below. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you really enjoyed it, consider subscribing. I'd love to have you stick around. Till next time, folks, I've been Jay. Appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me. Remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.